Hello, I'd like to welcome you to a new thing that we're doing on our church called Know Your Church. Our first guest is Don McDaniel. And we'll start off with something easy,
Okay.
all right? Where did you grow up?
I guess I spent most of my time in Oklahoma and Texas till I was old enough to go into the military. And I got in the military a little early. My mother signed the papers for me, so I went into the military very, very young. I think I was 17. I stayed in the service for about 5 years and got out, and well, we moved to Fort Worth because I got a job at General Motors, and spent 30 years at General Motors. Basically, most of my life's been in Texas, and most of it, I consider myself a Texan, even though I was not a Texan. I was actually born in Arkansas. But the great thing is when Jesus saved me, and that was a unique experience. I was going to a little Baptist church and always ready to get out on Sunday morning. I always sat on a back row and had one foot in the aisle ready to go. Jesus began to speak to my heart and told me, basically, you've lived about every life there is to live, but how about giving me a try? And I went from that back row to the front row on my knees and accepted Christ right then, and it's been a great ride. God has been real good to me, real good. And anyway, from that moment on, God began to change my life. And not that I didn't do things wrong, because I did. I messed up all the time. But He was always there, always there. And He never, when it says you're in His hand, it means you're in His hand. He never lets go of you.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. All right, well, let's go back to another one. What would you say your most fulfilling job was? Because you've had a lot of jobs, I know.
You know, I look back at the different things that I've done, you know, but the most fulfilling, I guess, was really working with the kids in Awanas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I really, that seems to be where my heart really was.
All right, let's hit another pretty easy one. All right.
Okay.
What would you give as advice being successful?
Yeah, most people consider, how much money you make or whatever, and I think it's not about money. It's not about being successful. Is what's inside of you. That's being successful.
Yeah.
Not material things. I probably think less of material things now than I ever have. Those kind of things just don't mean anything. We're here for such a short time. And you don't realize how short it is till you start getting a few years on you and you realize how short this life really is. When He says it's a vapor,
Yeah.
it really is a vapor. So I think success is what we do for God, really. That's success.
Yeah.
It's where our heart is with God.
In church. All right, this is a little deeper one.
We're
All
getting
right,
deeper.
ready? I'm gonna make you cry for sure.
If you do, I won't. You can't show this.
So, would you say that in church, in your walk with God, that you have done the thing that you're most passionate about yet? And if not, what is it? What would you like to still accomplish? What are you passionate about, and have you done that?
Well, you said something one time to me, and you said something about, can you tell God no? And I said, yes, you can. You can say no to God. The time I went to seminary for a while, and
A lot of people don't know that about you, that you went to seminary.
no, it's not something I talk
No,
about.
I know it's not.
Because that was a time in my life when I really said no to God. And you can say no to God, and He will allow it. But it's not the way you want to go.
Yeah.
Because
As you put it, it's not very smart.
it's not very smart. And I've been known not to do very smart things. But,
All right, this one's pretty easy, probably.
well, good. I need an easy question.
What is your favorite part of church life?
I think when you get up in the morning on Sunday morning and you think, I want to go to church, I want to be at church, that's probably the most important feeling. It's not something, oh, I don't want to go to church today. I'd rather just sit here and watch football.
Mm-hmm. Well, football normally don't start till 12.
I know. Well, I don't know. Some of the talk shows are pretty. but no, I think when we don't go to church, when we don't go and have that fellowship and stuff, and I miss it.
Yeah.
A week is awful.
So the fellowship.
Absolutely. I think the fellowship with, and so many people have prayed for me, and there's been such an outpouring of prayer, and it's changed my life as far as prayer. Those things are just, that's church. It's not the building.
Yeah.
It's the people in the building.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about the most recent thing here. You've already alluded to it a little bit about the being healed, and so what would you say what's been the best lesson that you've learned during this time with your heart, and then the talking about cancer, and then getting the prognosis that you don't have any cancer, and just this whole process? What have you learned?
God has dealt with me in so many levels, in so many different levels. At one point I said, I'm ready. I'll go. But I wasn't. No one, I don't think, is really ready to go. The Bible talks about when you lay prostrate on the floor, and I cried. I cried laying on the floor. I'm bawling like a baby. And you think, where are you, God? Where are you? And you're screaming inside. I knew He was going to heal me. I knew He was not going to say no.
Yeah.
He loves us that much. He really does.
Then you've been healed. And
Yeah.
What would you say to somebody, like my dad, or like anybody, other people in our church that are still struggling with these things and they're not being healed?
I could have just as easily have not been healed, but I'd still love God anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's your attitude. If He hadn't have healed me, and I hadn't have walked out of this, I still love God. I was talking to a guy one time, and he said, we got it all wrong. And I said, what do you mean we got it all wrong? And he says, we just have it all wrong. We put all the emphasis on this life and not the next life. And it's the next life that's really important. Yes, I would have said, to your father, if he hadn't been healed, trust in God, no matter what.
Yeah, I think my dad, he loves the Lord, a lot.
Yeah.
So, but it's still tough when you see people, that are still following Christ, and they're, but while they're following Christ, they're still going through this burden,
Right. Yeah.
All right, let's finish with this question.
Okay.
So it has to do with our current church. we've been talking about a building, growing our church, and you know, to meet the needs of our community, things like that. Where do you see our church in this community? What would you like to see in our church in this community? You know, just things like that. Kind of touch on some of that stuff. What do you see the future of the church?
The Awana program, reaching children. And if somebody don't reach them, you don't lose them.
Yeah.
Once they get to a certain age, they're hard to reach, and I really would like to see that as to be more of a focus.
On kids.
Kids, yeah.
Okay.
Because I think, gosh, that's where you miss the boat. I mean, grown-ups are important because they pay for most of it and all, but and God uses them in that way.
Yeah. I think
Because
that's one of the things we want to do is turn our current sanctuary, you know, into an amazing children's facility.
Absolutely.
You know.
Yeah.
So that's good. We wanna
Back at
do that.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We hope that you've enjoyed this time that we took with Don McDaniel, and we appreciate that he took time with us, and look forward to more of these in the future so you can get to know your church.